Why do the people who say I'm fine the fastest almost never mean it? Watch someone closely the next time they get hurt in front of a group. Not physically, emotionally. A comment that lands wrong. A joke at their expense. News that should have broken them a little. Watch their face. There's a flicker, barely half a second, and then it's gone. Replaced by a smile. A shrug. A joke of their own, thrown back like nothing happened. I'm fine, they say, before anyone even asked. That half second is the only honest moment you're going to get. Everything after it is a performance. And here's what should unsettle you. The better someone is at that performance, the more broken they usually are underneath it. Today, we're going into the psychology of emotional masking. Why some people became fluent in hiding pain before they even had the vocabulary to name it. And why, eventually, the body always collects on that debt. I've spent this research pulling from attachment theory, trauma psychology, and the growing body of work on emotional suppression and somatic stress to understand one particular kind of person. The one who deflects with humor. The one who says don't worry about me while quietly falling apart. The one everyone describes as so strong, never realizing that strength was never a choice. It was a survival strategy built in childhood, and like most survival strategies, it worked so well that it never got the memo to stop. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly where that mask came from, what it's costing you physiologically, and more importantly, how to finally set it down. Because I promise you, somewhere in the next few minutes, you're going to recognize yourself, or someone you love. Stay with me. Nobody teaches a child to mask their pain directly. Nobody sits them down and says, when you hurt, hide it. It's learned in the margins. In the reaction, not the instruction. A child cries because they're overwhelmed, and a tired, stressed parent snaps, "Stop being so dramatic." A child expresses fear, and instead of comfort, they get impatience. The message isn't spoken, but it's received with perfect clarity. Your pain is an inconvenience. Developmental psychologists call this a rupture in emotional attunement. It's the gap between what a child feels and what a caregiver is willing or able to hold space for. And children are remarkably intelligent pattern recognizers. If sadness gets you dismissed, but humor gets you approval, you don't need a second data point. You adapt. Fast. This is where the mask is forged. Not out of weakness, but out of strategy. A brilliant, if quietly devastating, piece of emotional engineering built by a nervous system that just wanted to stay connected to the people it depended on for survival. Humor as deflection is one of the most sophisticated defense mechanisms in the human psychological toolkit, and one of the most misunderstood. On the surface, it looks like charisma, quick wit, the person who lightens every room they walk into. But watch closely, and you'll notice the pattern. The joke always arrives exactly 1 second before real vulnerability would have to. Ask this person how they're really doing after a devastating week, and count how fast the punchline arrives. It's not spontaneous. It's a reflex, trained over years, engineered to redirect attention away from the exposed nerve before anyone, including them, has to sit with it. And here's the cruel irony. The mask works so well that people stop checking underneath it. Friends stop asking twice. Family assumes they're the strong one and stops offering support. Because why would you offer support to someone who never seems to need it? The very defense mechanism built to protect the relationship slowly starves it of the one thing that could actually heal the wound. Being truly seen. I'm fine. Say it out loud right now. Notice how fast it comes. Notice how little thought it requires. That's not an accident. Psychologists studying emotional suppression have found that phrases like this become almost automatic, fired off before conscious evaluation even has time to catch up. It's not a lie in the traditional sense. It's a reflex wired directly into the nervous system. What makes this particularly haunting is the function it serves. Saying I'm fine doesn't just protect other people from your pain. It protects you from having to fully acknowledge it yourself. Because if you say it enough times, with enough conviction, a part of you starts to believe it. Right up until your body decides it's had enough of the fiction. Here's the part that should genuinely alarm you. Emotions that get suppressed rather than processed don't simply disappear. They convert. Research on chronic emotional suppression links it consistently to elevated cortisol levels, weakened immune function, disrupted sleep, and immeasurably higher risk of cardiovascular strain over time. Your mind may be extraordinarily skilled at performing composure, but your nervous system keeps a separate, brutally honest ledger. Every swallowed tear, every deflected question, every "I'm fine" that wasn't, gets logged somewhere in the body as unresolved threat. And unresolved threat doesn't age well. It shows up eventually, as tension headaches with no clear cause, as a jaw that won't stop clenching at 3 in the morning, as an exhaustion that 8 hours of sleep can't seem to touch. This is the cruelest part of the mask. It was built to protect the relationship with others. But the final invoice always gets sent to the one relationship it never accounted for. The relationship with your own body. Here is the part nobody tells you. You are not obligated to perform wellness for an audience that never earned the truth. The goal isn't to rip the mask off in front of everyone who ever dismissed your pain. The goal is far quieter and far more powerful. It's building 1 or 2 relationships, sometimes even just the relationship with yourself, where the mask is finally allowed to come down. Psychologists call this selective vulnerability, choosing a small, trusted space to practice saying the true sentence instead of the automatic one. Not "I'm fine, but today was heavier than I let on." That single sentence, spoken honestly, does more for your nervous system than 100 performances of strength ever could. Because real strength was never the absence of struggle. It was the willingness, eventually, to let someone see it. So here's the truth this video was really building toward. The mask kept you safe once. In a room where your pain made people uncomfortable, it was the smartest strategy available to a child who had no other options. But you're not in that room anymore. And the strategy that once protected you has quietly become the thing standing between you and the connection you've been starving for. You don't owe anyone a performance of "I'm fine." You owe yourself the truth. If any part of this felt uncomfortably familiar, I want to know. In the comments, tell me the phrase you use instead of "I'm fine." That one sentence you reach for when you're deflecting. Naming it is the first step in disarming it. And if this kind of psychology, the quiet, human, often unspoken kind, resonates with you, subscribe. There's a lot more beneath the surface we're going to uncover together. I'll see you in the next one.